Hi, for this episode, we wish to indulge more on mental health, particularly on evaluating self, how to understand self better, and that it's okay not to be okay at times. But we need some emotional openness and spirit of understanding. The caring heart of Ma'am Raquel Antonio, psychiatric nurse, educator, would enlighten us on this matter. We are here simply because we care to share what's on our hearts and mind.
A gradual foreseeing of your future self without being attached to the past self. Did you get my point? I hope you did. Kung tapos na, past na yun, kaya nga past eh. So dito ka ngayon sa future. Ano ba yung dapat mong malaman? Ano ba ang dapat mong tanggapin? At ano ba ang dapat tanggapin ng mga taong ginagalawan mo, which is your external environment. So what's that again? Emotional openness. Try to establish um, a link as to knowing the feedback, understanding the feedback, okay, and linking with that response. Okay, that way you easily get you'd be able to establish a link na okay, kasali pala ako. So you won't feel, you wouldn't allow yourself to feel insecure anymore, and you wouldn't be anxious anymore not to get involved or not to be, or you won't get that feeling of unbelongingness anymore. Why? Because you were able to communicate, you were able to converse, and you were able to connect with them. May it be positive or negative, you were able to connect with them, you were able to conglomerate, and you were able to learn from these people na ito pala yun. That way, they can also reach out and you can also reach out. The next factor as to um, knowing ourselves well, especially in enhancing our area of reactivity, like what Johari has mentioned, kapag ang area of reactivity mo is wide enough, okay, to establish or to present a horizon, then you are very much free and you are very much aware. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses is a form of what a searching attitude with which you were able to accept or you were able to ask for a feedback. This time you try to analyze yourself, be honest, and be kind to yourself to the point that have some time to assess and search or reflect as to what sort of attitude you might have, the reason why these people were giving you this type of behavior. Perhaps some people would say, ito, alam ka, bungangera ka, ano ka, alam ko, selosa ka. Problem is, once we go through our milestone and one area or one aspect of our growth development was not achieved, the tendency is to what? To bounce back. That's why we regress. That's why at this age we are still being, we still have trust issues, we love to experiment, we love to explore our environment simply because we never get ourselves satisfied. And when do we get ourselves satisfied? When can we find that peace within ourselves na okay na to? Sabi nga, 'di ba, we need to learn to be contented and satisfied into whatever situation we find ourselves into. More particularly, if we know ourselves well, that is how we can adapt as to our external environment. Sabi nga nila, one way of accepting ourselves is to revealing ourself openly, as to being honest with the rawest kind of courage that we might have. And one factor that we are moving on is when we learn to say no, we practice saying no. I'm not saying that you have to be negativistic to the point that most of the time you get to be mute, no, we get to have that passive mutism na para na lang matanggap, sige, I'll just keep quiet. So, sana naman yung magbabounce back? Hindi ito ako, hindi yun ang gusto kong sabihin. So, where are you going to find yourself again? Sa area of private life space. Dito na lang, sa akin na lang, hindi na lang ako magsasalita. Kasi baka hindi nila ako matanggap eh. Sila nga bang di makatanggap or ikaw ang hindi mo matanggap ang sarili mo? Get my point? Okay. Next factor would be, I mean, the next aspect would be, I hope you were able to consider yourself, consider all this process or all these questions as a form of the next chapter to further evaluate your thoughts and observe your behavior. That way, you'd be able to understand and assess. That is the first line of your aspect of your resolutions with which you try to establish connectivity. This is the time when you question your decisions. Saan ba ako nagkamali? And when once you ask yourself, once you think about your values, your beliefs, your attitudes, okay? Once you assess all that, you are not going to look on one corner. You are not going to be blinded. You're not going to submerge yourself into one one unit or one area of the four windows of Johar. You need to set back. You need to get out of the box and look from outside as to the four corners of that window pane.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Raquel. This is just an excerpt from the caring heart of Ma'am Raquel's explanation. Allow me to summarize this episode by the word okay, O which would stand for emotional openness by understanding feedback, K for be kind and be honest to yourself, A accept self without being attached to your past, and Y find yourself and establish connectivity, communicate, converse, and connect. Thank you that you're okay.